Hey guys, I didn't realize I got so carried away with my music yesterday. I hate those long intros. So, alert, alert. I mean, really alert. I'm getting ready to go outside and change clothes in the next couple days because you guys have gifted me, apparently, with some really cold air. Yeah. I've even got Michiganders down here trying to figure out where to go because it's so cold coming next week. They want to go further south, except you won't be able to get away from this. Literally. All the way to the southern waters of Texas. We're going to see freezing. Now, Uncle Gore, global warming crowd, they used to dish on me all the time. Hey, all you guys who weren't going to find any snowballs for the next lifetime. Guess what? Not only were you wrong, you were so wrong that you'd almost have to wonder if Gore didn't have ulterior motives, like Blood and Gore, the legal firm that was going to go ahead and help get all these taxes applied to help take care of all that CO2. Well, bullshit. This is volcanoes, this is the sun, this is the planets on the backside of us, the four gaseous giants lining up again as they did in the year 76 AD. And we're about to see a whole bunch of things going on that we have no control over. Volcanoes, snowstorms. Now, if somebody out there wants to say that people are causing this through HARP or any other bull, I'm going to say bull. Why? As far as I'm aware of, if you want to give anybody credit, he's up there. She's up there. Mother Earth, she's not doing this. This is the sun. The sun is doing this. The other planets that affect us in our magnetic shell, our magnetosphere, our magnetic charge of the planet. That's not up to us. Humans don't determine that. And if some bozo's telling you that, tell him to go put on a third mask. Yeah. You know, mankind, asphyxiation, society killing systems, masks. Those things that hide your mouth, hide your face, hide your features. Reduce the oxygen you can take in. Collect a whole bunch of bacteria out of your nasty old mouth on the inside of that mask where it goes ahead and then grows rapidly and then gets ingested through your nose and your mouth back into you in much stronger quantities because you haven't been able to battle it while it's outside on your mask. Now, of course, you change your mask every day or twice a day, right? Or wash them out with proper... No. You do like me, just leave it sitting on the dashboard and slap it up across my face long enough to get in the door wherever I got to go so I can take it off again so I don't suffocate. I'm not one of those people that's worried about getting COVID and taking me down. I'm sorry. I'm not going to fear something like that. I'm not going to fear the cold. I'm not going to fear the flu, which both have been killed off by the COVID anyway. Did you know we had more deaths from the flu a few years back than we actually had from COVID? Now, we got some big issues here. How do you determine what's what? Trinity's out there going through New Mexico and they got everything locked down. Yeah. No restaurants. Sitting inside. That's just not allowed. This is crazy. And now we're going to throw us a cold storm on top of it, everybody. This is going to be one of the coldest experiences anybody in America has ever gone through. We're talking about atmospheric pressures coming in, record-breaking atmospheric pressure, according to what may happen today, of 1070. Yeah. Remember last week I was talking about how 1038 was nasty, terrible, horrible over China? We're going to get those kind of numbers in the southern United States. So what does that look like in your world? Absolutely the coldest freezer you could possibly buy and put in your house. Won't get as cold as what you're about to experience in wind. Now, I frostbit all my little itty bitty fingers when I was about 16 years old, down to the meat where they blistered off, and took about 2-3 weeks for them to grow back enough skin that I could even touch anything. Yeah, that was so I could go out and see a girl that I thought I liked, and I drove out in the snow and got stuck in a snowdrift and tried to push the car out with my bare hands and swelled up my fingers like weenies when you cook them in your pot and they have no wrinkles left in them and they almost split. And I got to my girlfriend's house finally when I got my car out of the snow, and I was in pain. Help, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And she took me over the sink and put my hands under hot water. I want to tell you something. Under no circumstances, ever, do you do that. It is the most painful, excruciating experience you could possibly put yourself through, short of intentional torture by somebody else. And so when I pulled my hands out of there, and I was tears pouring out my eyes, and put my hands between my legs, and I was just in tears, and I was crying. I know I was a man, but I was 16 years old, and I was crying. And they're like, you don't have to cry, it's not that bad. I never saw her again. Yeah, I left with my hands still hurting and got back in that car and risked my life and drove away. I met more women like that in my life. But it's kind of like the government you got right now. We're about to freeze our asses off. About to get in serious trouble. Hey, Moon, how you doing? Thanks for coming and visiting again. Montreal, oh my gosh. In the house. In a cave. With fire, maybe. Oh man, I don't envy you at all. I am not a cold bunny. Now, I am here today to give you an alert. Why is this an alert? Please understand something. Just in case you hadn't noticed, we might be at war. Cyber war. That means when you got a bunch of viruses that just got in all your government computers and all of your utility plants. Yeah. Down in Florida, I think it was, just had this little problem where somebody went in and hacked the utility for water and dumped in a bunch of, seriously, I would kill you chemicals if you drink them. Luckily, some smart human being caught it before it got into the human beings' bodies that it would have been delivered to otherwise. Note of caution. First of all, don't drink tap water. Don't drink fluoride. It calcifies your pineal gland. That's your spiritual eye. Now, Hitler figured that out and gave it to the POWs in Germany. It worked really good to keep them from stepping up to the plate and resisting being held prisoner. So after that, we brought it to America, called it, it'll fix your teeth, put it in the water, proceed to calcify Americans' pineal gland and shut them out from their ability to communicate with God, if there is one, or spiritual one, the source. Now, have you seen any evidence that might be the case out there, that a bunch of people's pineal gland, their spiritual eye, their connection to the one? You have any evidence out there maybe that there's a problem? Sharon Westmoreland, that's a name, girl. Welcome. Oh, you got to the loophole? Oh, man, I'll tell you what. Loophole was a design I made so we could go ahead and make houses that would loophole around all the regulations. Under 400 square feet, no tax like a house. Under 400 square feet, no bed and breakfast tax, 15%. Under 400 square feet, portable building. You can depreciate it in 10 years instead of 28 years. Financially, that means you can depreciate it faster, get the government to pay for it faster. And unlike a house or other things, there's no real title or record. So at the end of 10 years, it's a depreciated piece of trash you can then give to your child. Disregard the fact it might last another 100 years and they could live in it and their children could live in it and a bunch of you could all live together in little tiny houses and not beat each other up, because guess what? Kids, I love you, but sometimes I don't like your music. I don't like your choices. And I want to have my house. Like, you know what I mean? So, how do we get back together? 52% of the families now have their children at home. Wow, aren't we lucky? And actually we are, if you got good kids. If they came back and they're productive. if my generation taught them well, which you know what? We kind of failed on a lot of things. And I want to say that with a sincere heart. We spoiled our children, gave them everything we didn't have, and in return for that, they expect everything we never got without hard work. That becomes a problem nowadays. I just saw Dolly Parton's getting in trouble because she's singing a song about work ethic at the, of all places, that, oh, what's they call that thing? A football game they have every year? Super Bowl. You know I'm into really football guy, right? And so she's taking heat to sing about a work ethic that we all ought to have and teach everybody again, or else we're going to be dependent on those people who got work ethic overseas, not just because of choice, but if you're a slave in a damn factory. Well, that can happen here. We call it prison workers. Right, Cammie? Yeah, we actually have a vice president who's really into that. Yeah, get you in jail, and then you get 17 cents an hour to work for a grand corporation, so that way we don't have to ship our jobs overseas. We keep everybody right here. Aren't y'all lucky? You're going to have jobs in the FEMA camps. What FEMA camps? Well, oh yeah, did I mention that? Here's the alert. If you were in possession of the keys to turn off the electric at a critical time, to cause blackouts here and there, to cause problems for a country. And this is like when you're little aces in the hole that you want to play if you're going to go ahead and attack a country. You've already dropped in all the viruses into the computers. You've caused all sorts of havoc in their communities by paying people to go in there and, what should we say, demonstrate peacefully and burn down buildings and bust up small businesses and all that kind of crap. That was endorsed by Cammie and friends. Even paid for their bail to get them out so they get to the next town in time for the next event. That gets kind of old for us old folks who watch that and go, come on, I can't be the only one seeing this happen. I can't be the only one watching these rich people who got all sorts of blackmail and stuff on them. They get their money thanks to a system that's already corrupt. And if they don't behave, they don't get no money. So that's what they're going to give up money any day of the week to bail out the bad guys to go out and do the dirty work for them. Wow, am I getting myself in trouble here? This is a story. You know, this is a story in the book of Wibblery and Wub. In case some of you think I'm talking about reality, no, goodness no. This is a surreal world I'm talking about. So, for all those censors that are sensing right now and trying to figure out what the heck it is, this is a fairy tale, a fantasy about Salvage, Texas, in a land you might want to be. A land of freedom. A land in the future. Where we, all of us eyes get together and decide that this ain't going to work. America, my dear friends, sadly, in the state we're in, it's still up to us to defend freedom, to defend democracy, to defend the idea that your vote counts. Because you know what? After this election, what on earth makes you think you got a chance to vote anybody you like in next time? I don't care if JFK Jr. himself, yeah, isn't that a dream, were to step out of the background and run for office. There's no doubt in my mind who I'd be voting for. After all these years, he's worked to go ahead and try to dismantle this now relatively clearly communist, intentionally formed government that would evolve by disregarding the American vote. In the book I'm writing, you see what happens is this is what inspires us. This is what lights our passions, ignites our unity. This isn't just America now, guys. You Montreal, you might notice there's a little problem up there too. Hey, Sharon. Southern Utah. It's cold up there. Good luck. Stay warm. Hey, John. Jonathan, yeah, freedom is just another word for nothing to lose. And the truth of the matter is, once you've had it, it's kind of like sugar. Once you had it, you want it more. Yeah, the problem is, we got addicted to it. Yeah, we got addicted to freedom here, man. Yeah, how'd that happen? Well, I don't know. I think it has something to do with going to war. And by the way, this means we never lost a war. Palm down. I asked that question the other day. Do you know how few people knew the answer to that? Why do you salute with your palm down in America, and every other country that salutes to America salutes like this? Because we kicked their ass. This is I've been beaten before. Yes, sir. Whatever you want. Thank you very much. Now, I have the right to have long hair. I have the right to have a beard. I don't if I'm in the Army, as I was. That's not my body. Oh, wait, I just heard they're going to let you have ponytails. Excuse me, I'm wrong. Now we're going to be able to have ponytails in the Army. You can also have the guys that look like girls be the guys, and the girls that look like guys be the guys, and you can also have, it's not the same Army. No, I grew up Army. I joined the Army. That wasn't the Army. I don't have a clue what's going on with the new jokes that are being told upon the Army, forced upon the Army. I suppose the other services too. Hey guys. I'm not worried with my time. Look at. I want to try to suggest that everybody prepare, because if there were a blackout, this is what the alert's about. Just suppose that somebody would take advantage of all those computers that they've got the virus into already, and we found out another virus beyond that. Now, let's just suppose in this imaginary world that I'm writing about in Whipplery and Wub, in that world where Darby comes around and starts trying to go ahead and make his difference that he was supposed to make when he was born. Darby prepared all his life in this storyline. He worked and worked to try to go ahead and have, when it's time come, publishing facilities, because he knew it wasn't going to get published. Broadcasting facility. Could you believe a kid with no money could come around to the world, that he could actually come around one day and broadcast all the way around the world? Imagine that. Addiction's a crazy thing. You know, we can addict ourselves to anything from coffee, which I happen to have a slight addiction to, apparently, according to some people. And we can addict ourselves to all sorts of other things. Antidepressants, painkillers, pot. Well, it's not physically addictive, but you have a cannabinoid complex, and so your body wants more. Why? Because you have also hormones, serotonin, things like that allow you to be empathetic. Dopamine. And, you know, that's what you get every time your phone goes off and somebody calls you and go, oh, wow, that's dopamine. That's an addiction, by the way. And that's the problem we've got now, is we now have a toy sitting in front of you right now. Hey, Kara. Right now in front of you. I can control you with that little toy by feeding you dopamine. Dopamine and serotonin. That's the two things you need. Dopamine makes you feel good. You smoke pot. That's cool. That's dopamine. All right. Now, you also produce it on your own, if you're fortunate. If you're not, you're taking antidepressants because you're not producing your dopamine or your serotonin. Now, they have serotonin inhibitors because you produce too much serotonin. You're too much of an empath. You walk around somebody that's in a bad mood, and all of a sudden you're in a bad mood. No control. Our biggest problem in our country has become a lack of control. 30 meters of snow, moon, oh my goodness. That is an unimaginable amount of snow for me. I'd have to have a tunnel. I got to have sun, guys. I lived up in Seattle. I went up there and found out they don't tan, they rust. I got there. It was 100 degrees for 3 days. I thought, oh my goodness, this is heaven. I was coming from Florida and I was coming from Alabama. And it ended. And then all of a sudden it got cloudy, ugly. And it stayed ugly in the sense of cloudy every day. They walk around with umbrellas. I got to have sun. And I found out later on you can get light that pretends like it's sunlight, and you can actually use that, this artificial light. I'm not into the artificial light, but if I have to have it, I'll do that. Because I got kind of depressed. I got a lot of things. You know, there's a high suicide rate up there where you don't have sunshine. You know that, Moon? I hope you got a sun lamp or something, man. What's happening right now is I've gotten addicted to my freedoms. I'm now trying to grow food. I got eggs every day. I've got the freedom to do this for the moment. I know in countries like here in England, they're taking away your chickens, they're taking away your sheep. They're taking away your ability to go ahead and feed your family. What are they taking it to? Over to feed somebody else. Yeah. We're not just going to make it kill it. We're going to take it with us so we can dispose of it for you. That's how Scotland starved to death. That's how Wales starved to death in the last food shock period. Now, imagine 1600 when the River Thames was frozen over during that 50 years where they had cold weather. Yeah, 50 freaking years of what you're about to see. Starting in 2024 to about, 20 years past that. This is a primer. As I told you last year, that was a primer. As I told you the year before, that was a primer. Science is there. The guys with all the money know. They're out there buying the desert. Why? Because it's going to rain in the desert. The whole thing's going to shift over and all of our deserts are going to become real beautiful. Egypt of the Nile was palm trees and water and at one time lush. The deserts of the West. You guys notice any more water out there lately? It goes good with volcanic ash, by the way. I've got evidence of that here. Some of the volcanic ash layers are this thick, and I'm in Texas. And oh, by the way, yesterday, Smiley, Texas, we had a 3.3 earthquake. Guess what's in Smiley, Texas? A volcano. We got them in Texas. Now, I want to go ahead and say something to everybody. You think you're all safe out west? That is a string of volcanoes that starts down in Mexico, goes all the way up to Yellowstone, and it's all popping and getting ready to go. There's at night, you want to watch the infrareds at night, you can see hot spots all over the place. If you want to watch the PM 2.5 outputs in Southern California right now, there is a volcano over there that is outgassing particulates in the 2.5 category that are extremely hazardous to your health and blowing north and then turning and going east. Anybody underneath that little cloud, you ain't paying attention. It's too small. You won't even know it's going in. The problem is you will not get it back out. Anybody going to tell you that? No. Well, there's a few online. They're about to censor them all off too. Thank you. Mine. Appreciate you. Yeah, for 65 guys, I'm feeling wonderful. I'm grounding every day. I'm walking. I'm staying thin. That way I don't have to have a lot of food when I eat good. Peanut butter. I love organic peanut butter. We're even growing organic peanuts. We actually have some growing right now, and I got to figure out how I'm going to get this freeze. Yeah, we're going to get a freeze down here. Now, I happen to have several billion gallons of water, all in streams, ponds, and creeks now. That is a thermal battery. I can't freeze that in 2 days. I can't freeze that in 5 days. It's too much water. It's too thick. And on top of that, it goes down 18 feet, which means I got 55 degrees on the bottom of that year round to 60 degrees. It's going to keep heating it up and keeping me some convection, some movement of the water from the bottom, which is hotter, to the top, which is cold. And as it reaches the top, it creates a steam. And that steam, that mist, that lifts up, and that creates a nice little halo, a misty halo. As the water lifts up, it heats the air. And then that air heated helps save some of my plants, I hope. Because I must have 500 sunflowers up right now. We're getting ready to go, and they're already this tall. And I am just sickened by the prospect of what this is going to do. I've got sorghum already with leaves on it this high from the bottoms of the plants that I've already got 3 potential harvests already a year. I may have 4. But there's a big problem. Yeah. There's 2 things at work. There's a political climate that's freezing us. It's about to freeze a bunch of people just flat in their chair, in their house, paralyzed with fear behind their masks, paralyzed with fear about somebody coming and taking their guns. They can't protect themselves. Paralyzed in fear about the fact that they don't have a job to go back to, nor are they going to have a career because the store they went to before, and it's gone. And so are all the other brick and mortar stores. Please. Oh, licensed radio operators are talking about a lot of solar activity and the flares coming up that could mess with our electricity. Not just a little bit, guys. There is a filament right now that's moving across the path. This morning I was looking at it. Suspiciousobservers.com. Very good source. So tied up in what he's doing, putting out a broadcast every morning. 5 o'clock, he's putting that out there. His life. He lives, eats, and breathes this stuff. Reads every paper out on the subject. Much as I was doing in my 30s, he's so caught up in it, he's missing out on other things in life. But this is the sacrifice we make for the world. His children, his wife, they're all with it. His wife's got a beautiful book to teach children about the sun, about how everything happens. I highly recommend you go over there and check them out and get that book for the children and start teaching the children it's the sun. Yeah. It's the sun that affects us and all the planets. And it's the other planets that affect us. It's not just us. It's not just man sitting on top of the planet controlling the universe. Somehow or another, who wants you to think that way? Who wants you to think that human beings have such great power that we can change and reverse the direction of the weather on Uranus or Saturn or Pluto, which is actually happening, by the way, for those who aren't paying attention? The storms are amazing, except the problem is they're going backwards. The entire atmosphere flipped for some reason in its spin. Imagine that. And if that happened on Earth, what would happen? Oh my goodness. It'd take a few minutes, wouldn't it? For that water to go splashing, starting to run the other direction as the Earth starts spinning the other direction and the whole atmosphere starts. That'd take a minute. You'd actually get some symptoms of that ahead of time, too. We are. You'd have to have a record that it happened before. We do. What we're about to go through, guys, is not new. It's simply time. Yeah. That's why I'm here. I'm one of those guys here to help you get through it. And you go, well, hell, why didn't we see you before? Why wasn't your pretty face all over the news? How come you're not out there leading the world? Well, I don't want to be out there leading the world, thank you. I'm not a leader. I'm a writer. I'm writing a book. This is Darby. You're speaking to Darby. How real is Darby? Well, how real are you? To me, I don't know you. I don't see you. You don't exist. And there's only 7 billion of you out there. 7 billion out there. Now, I want to go ahead and take some. Girlfriend's getting some moccasins. She's out there in New Mexico, and she's trying to do the best she can to go ahead and spend some money at Native American culture-based reservations. These are like salvage Texas. If I could send materials out there for them to build houses and they could send somebody out to collect them and take them back out there, as I have done before, I will do again. Any of you want to go out there and help on a reservation, you want to go ahead and help build some housing, you want to go out there and put some tiny houses out there and help them start, I'll back you. I'll give you all the materials to take out there. And if they get something built someday, they send me some money, that'd be wonderful. But if they don't, they don't. It's getting it to people that will turn it into houses. I've got tens of thousands of feet of tin that could be used for roofs and walls. I've got miles of lumber, if you would line it up end to end, enough to probably go around the world one time. Imagine that. I gathered that all up in advance. If you understand indigo, the idea or the concept of some of us coming here and incarnating in advance and trying to prepare the world for what's coming. In other words, gee, you might have lived before, you might live again, you might have a consciousness, you might actually not just be a gelatinous shell that's going to be here, gone, and gee, if you fart, somebody's going to know about it, talk about it, but otherwise, who cares? I don't think that way. Martin Luther King did not think that way. John F. Kennedy did not think that way. Bob Marley did not think that way. It's about love. It's about what can we do to unite toward peace and not toward war. Executive Order number 57 by John F. Kennedy. Imagine that, 57. We didn't have many before that, did we? How about a guy just signed 42 of them in the first freaking, 10 days? Kennedy signed number 57. How many presidents did we have? Because, oh, Trump signed a bunch of them. He's trying to undo what Obama did in some respects, and he tried to undo what Bush did. And all the garbage like the Patriot Act that actually was a spy on all of us good people so we could go ahead and have the bad people take us out. Censor us. Eliminate our voice, our dialogue, and the narrative they wish to present. Mikhail Bakhtin called that dialogism. He went to prison. Actually, he went to an insane asylum for a while because he was crazy to suggest that the mere utterance of one human being to another might change the course of their life. It might get you to start dieting. As one young man who's coming here and visiting, 14 years on insulin, diabetic, was inspired. And I'm proud to say, after visiting us, he went on to change his path. And the doctors looked in shock and awe as he got off his insulin entirely. And out of nowhere started producing insulin in his body again. Lost a bunch of weight. Rides bike. Changed his life. Got inspired. Got passionate. Found spirit. And through spirit and that extra contact you get with what some might call God thought. Well, energy of soul. It's like getting the electric connected to your filament. And then all of a sudden you glow. And all of a sudden you can see through the deceit. And you can see through the lies. And you go, well, I don't need that addiction. I can get along with that if it means being servile. Let me see. If I got to be a slave to have that, do I want that? If I got to take your poison, your addiction, if you're going to get me hooked so I can't get away, because if I get away, I'm going to suffer and I don't want to suffer? Nah. I'd rather walk over hot coals barefooted so I get to a safe and free place than I would stay on this side of it and be a slave. I will jump that chasm at the fringe. There's a poem online, by the way. That's on YouTube. It's called Chasm at the Fringe. There's two versions. I wrote it. I read, I think, one or two of them. There might be three versions. The same as the Song of Salvage. There's two versions of that. And these are poems and these are stories. And the reason they're out there is to inspire people. Why? Because a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of motivation, that might just get you over that hump. That might be what keeps you from jumping off that stool after you tied the knot and put it around your neck. In my case, the rope stretched when I was a kid. And my toes danced on the ground until I finally figured out how to untie myself and feel that rope burn for the next few days. From one ear to the other. And I didn't try that again. That was from the pipes in the basement. That would have been a surprise for Mom in the laundry room the next morning, wouldn't it? I was 15. I was depressed. I ate sugar. Anytime I could get my hands on it, I ate sugar. I slept sometimes 12 hours a day. I left school out the back door, looking for the bullies, make sure they didn't see me, walking home instead of the bus. And when they did see me, I ran. And if I had a friend, I didn't have very many, and he didn't run fast enough, and he got caught. No one good. It's not fun to get pissed on by a bunch of guys. The world is not necessarily a wonderful place for everybody, guys. We didn't all come from that rosy little background, the Nelsons, my three sons. That was a fairy tale. It's cold up there, guys. Prepare. Just in case somebody were to take advantage and take out the electric during the coldest period we've ever had in our life. And this is a 1070 That is the highest atmospheric pressure to ever be seen on the country, in the world, and it is now coming down in the 1040 range, and it's never been that low down here until you want to go back far enough. Actually, you can see it back when they cannibalized the people that were on that expedition up in Montana, because the snow got 30 feet deep. 30 feet deep. So, prepare. Don't be afraid. Get your family together. Make sure you got some extra fuel, food, lots of blankets. And don't go out in a car unless you absolutely have to. Because you can freeze in a car faster than you can freeze anywhere else. It's steel. As fast as you can heat up your body, it will take it away from you. You'll breathe in cold air. You will freeze from the inside out. But if you get outside, you'll freeze faster. So just don't get in a car. Don't go outside. Please take these precautions. Check on your neighbors. Before. Make sure they got power. Make sure they got a way to contact you. If something happens, they fall. Please. Now's the time for community. Unity and communication makes a community, guys. Please. We're getting cold down here. I'm about ready to go change in the next few days. You'll see me in long johns and sweaters if you see me at all. Because what happens at the internet, look, and during all this, if you don't have a ham radio, if you don't have a way to communicate, you may have a problem coming at. And like he said, suicide doesn't take away the possibility of things getting worse. I knew one guy. He was an alcoholic all of his life, but that was after, as a fairly straight kid, he went to a party and somebody hit acid into his drink. And he ran out of there, got in his car and drove, and he had 7 police officers after him as he was driving 100 miles an hour. And he got to the spot and they had all the cops sitting there, the guns pointed at him, and he had a gun. And what did he do? He put it to the bottom of his, and he pulled the trigger. And it went up through his tongue, and came out the top of his head. And he lived through it. Not a good life, unfortunately, for his kids, his wife, everybody he knew, and himself. Taught himself a lesson. Yeah. It isn't worth it, guys, what I'm trying to say, and this is the point behind why I even bring it up. My beautiful, incredible, wonderful life would not have happened if it had been up to me to be the judge, jury, and executor. I wanted to know why I was here so bad. I was willing to leave this life to go on to the next one to find out. If there was a God, I needed to have a talk. And I couldn't seem to get through on this planet because all I got was hell. Whipping. Beaten. Lied to. Yeah. If you've experienced that, guess what? You're being prepared. You're going to be able to spot those liars better than anybody else. Here's the sad part, though. If you're taking this out on yourself, stop. It's not your fault. You can fix it. Don't blame your parents. Don't blame anybody but you. But then do something about it. Take action. Look at yourself in the mirror. Tell yourself you love yourself. Quit beating yourself up. Make yourself do what you need to do out of love. Like you would a child in your arms. That is the body in the arms of your mind, which is connected to your spirit to let the signals from your ears, eyes, nose, and all that go off and come back and communicate off those little tiny antennae we now know are on the outsides of cells. Every cell has one. That's why if you take my liver and put it in you, it's going to know it's me. I'm still going to be able to talk to it. It's my liver. It's got my signal. It's got my antenna inside every cell. It communicates with spirit. I know, it sounds pretty crazy. So, that's it. You're right. Story time. So, please, everybody, become part of this story. Don't think you're not part of my quantum story. See, Darby, the guy in the box that you're looking at, he's only here for one reason. It's to make an impression. You like the impression? Doesn't matter. Did he provoke you in some way, make you angry and go, it's not me, I'm not that fat slob he's talking about, I'm a different kind of fat slob. Okay. Get angry about it. Get upset. You don't like what I say? You think maybe, he's bullshitting. Check it out. I don't bullshit. I write fantasy. How much of that's fact? Well, what's fact? In this day and age, what is fact? The news? It's been validated. New York Times says it's real. CBS, CNN has now pronounced this guy or that guy president, and therefore, that is the facts. Hey guys, from the world of fantasy called Salvage, Texas, I got to go out there and prepare for the cold. Because the fact is, unless God steps in, I'm going to lose some sunflowers. I'm going to lose some plants. Nothing I can do about it. It's not human controlled. It's not somebody's carbon dioxide out of their exhaust pipe up in Montana causing me this problem. I'm sorry. I'm going to build houses underground if I can do it, just like they did in the other times this happened. The villages all over Europe, Romania, Mexico, Italy, underground. Why? Get cold up on top here. It's not cold down below. So, please, what may appear like a fact today may not look like a fact tomorrow. I'm an old man. If you'd have told me it's a fact, you're going to get to that age and do splits, you're going to get to that age and do this, that, and the other, I said, bullshit. There ain't no factuality to that. It can never happen. No, I'm crippled. I'm a boy. No, I chose not to believe that. After my son died, I said, wait a minute. I don't want to believe I'm old anymore. I want to believe I can get younger. I want to believe that maybe we don't all have to get to be crippled old people by the time we're 65. I've seen more proof since I started thinking that way that it's true. And I believe it. And what's that? That's called placebo effect. And now you see me do my tricks. And now you see me run around, walk around, and I just got more energy than I ever had when I was younger. And the beauty of it is it's directed properly now. It's under control. It's not just anger striking out at everybody. No, Betty, you said you're going to put the brake on it. Oh, you did hit the brakes. You sure you got the right brake pedal? Yeah, Betty, we're supposed to hit 17 degrees. Feels like 23. I know that sounds warm to you guys, doesn't it? That's 23 above. For you guys up in Montana, oh my goodness, 53 degrees below zero. Now let's add wind chill. Please, my friends, stay warm. Prepare. Go out if you can. Get a Mr. Heater. Little Mr. Heaters. Go out and get you at least 2 of those propane barbecue tanks and a Mr. Heater. And you go in one room of that house, you block the windows, make sure you got plenty of air. Yeah, I know you got to take cold air in, but you need to have air. But block the most of the bulk of the windows, have any wind blowing through. Get some air through there and heat it up. Make sure you got oxygen. There's a little oxygen sensor on these phones. You can check your heart rate and everything. I want you to use that during this crisis. And keep checking on your oxygen inside of these small spaces you're heating up. Because if your oxygen levels get too low, carbon dioxide gets in the way, you could die. Not necessarily a cool way to die. People use exhaust pipes in the window of their car. They go in the garage, turn it on, just stay in the car and let it all get all sorts of gases to die. Entire families go that way. By mistake, of course. Please, don't make that mistake unintentionally. Some people got to check out. Sooner or later, we all got to go. For the really old people, I hope they don't have to suffer. May God call you back in a beautiful way greets you in heaven, your heaven, by whatever God you want to pick. Blessings. I'm going to get going now. Kerosene heater's good. Oh, Betty, word of caution. Both of my grandpas burned to death. Well, I had several because my grandma got married a few times. But one of them burned to death putting oil in a kerosene heater. Or putting kerosene in an oil heater when I was a kid. It blew up and burned 75% of his body. He died in the hospital, and Red Cross wouldn't pay for my dad to come back from Germany as a soldier to see him before he died, so he didn't get to see him. My other grandpa, he got burned 3/4 of his body in a chicken house fire, trying to save his chickens. He was in the hospital, too. And the doctor, well, he was at a party and drunk in the old days when you had a phone, and he wouldn't answer the phone, wouldn't come to the phone, and my grandpa couldn't get somebody to stick a needle into him and take the gases out of his body that build up when your skin seals up and you can't release gases out the skin. So he blew up. Just burst like a balloon. Yeah. Be careful of fires. Be careful of the air you're using. When you use heaters that consume air, remember, you need some of it and you don't want the chemicals. Please, every precaution possible. Blessings to you all. This is going to be rough. I may even hook my heater up, guys. I know. I've got exactly that. I've got a little propane tank, and I got a Mr. Heater, and I got windows that properly leak air, so I constantly have air leaking in if I want it. And I do want it. I like air. I'm a big believer in air. So, thank you, Betty. Lori, those Dearborns, they're good. They do have, you need to know how to use it, because on the Dearborns, they've got most of the older ones don't have a gas sensor. This is a big danger, guys. I should bring this up. My son almost died in the bedroom as a baby because of this very issue I'm going to talk to you about. Thank you for bringing it up, Lori. If you don't know about it, a Dearborn heater, most of those early heaters, gas heaters, they have the little waffles in them. They're really kind of cool looking. And they have a spot that comes in, there's a pilot light. And if it has a pilot, this is okay, it's better. But the way it works is, if it doesn't have a pilot, and the early ones didn't, that's the little thing that sits out here, and as the flame blows on it, it heats it up, and then it allows the valve to stay open as long as this is hot. But what happens a lot is if everybody's using their gas and the gas pressure goes down, the flame will go down. If you've got it down low, it'll go down in snuff. Not enough gas because the gas pressure, everybody turning theirs on at the same time, drains it off. So what that means is you end up with just pure gas pouring out, unless the gas valve is turned off by this thermocoupler that's known as it's a switch, basically, a valve. And it causes it to turn it off. Otherwise, it keeps going. We were playing cards in the dining room, and all of a sudden, Suzanne, the mother of my child, jumped up and ran in the bedroom, and lo and behold, the flame had gone out, and gas come back on, and it was gassing him in the room next to us. So with propane and natural gas, you must have that little thermocoupler that has to be hot before you take your hand off the gas, and the gas keeps going. So for all you people who want to use old heaters, that is the big precaution, is that the gas can go off, come back on, and no flame. Now, the other thing I should get into is on wood-burning stoves. If it leaks any of that carbon monoxide out through the cracks that are typical in a cast iron wood-burning stove, then you have to be very careful of bringing carbon monoxide into the room. And not to mention, if you don't have a good enough flue feeding into the box, you're going to be burning up the oxygen inside of the box you're staying in, which might be the room, the house, or a tiny house. I've written articles on this because people don't understand they breathe 500 gallons of air an hour, 500 gallons an hour, assuming you're sitting there quietly. Now, right now, with me talking like this, kind of excited, I'm burning up probably 750 gallons of air an hour. If there's two of you, that's 1,500 gallons. In a tiny house on wheels, that's only 6,500 gallons to start with, and you got to seal it up tight because you're freezing your ass off and you're heating it up in there, and there's no oxygen because nobody built in a darn heat exchanger or air exchanger. So, if you want to go ahead, and risk your life heating with fire-based, even rocket heaters, if they leak, you gotta be careful. And the nice thing about rocket heaters, it brings air from outside, recirculates all of its exhaust fumes, burns them again, and then lets the heat out. So you get more heat per log. The best is to have the heat outside and have water come into a radiator, an old radiator, and heat up the old radiator and just have it go in the top of it, heat the radiator up, go out the bottom of it, pour back out into the fireplace, and heat it up again and have it go up through the coils and come back out again. So as it heats up, it just pushes up through the coils and it pushes it down your radiator in the house. It comes back out again and flows out the bottom of it back in. Anything you can do like that to keep the fire out of the house, I recommend it. That means you got to go out there and stoke the fire, but hey, you got oxygen, right? Now, electric heaters, you guys all know the rules on that, but when the electric goes down, you better have a backup. And electric heaters are notorious for going down when you need them. The fans go bad. Now, if the fan goes out on a typical plastic heater and can't blow that across there, they're actually in danger of catching fire. Fire in the houses from heaters or from being people's chairs on top of the heater cord. Because the heater cord, the cable going to the wall, will heat up during the heater's operation. If you have a carpet on it, if you have a chair on it, you can actually start a fire just on that alone. I know, I had a rent house. They did it. They put the couch on top of the cord that went to the heater. And then as it was heating up, the plastic softened because it got hot. And as the plastic softened, the little metal disc on the bottom of the couch cut through the plastic and hit the wire, caused a short. But not enough of a short to flip the breaker, so it caused a fire on the curtains, which happened to be in front of a wall that had a, of all things, a beehive in it full of wax. Yeah, that got going quick. Luckily, we weren't far from the fire station. Again, a heater cord underneath a chair going to the wall caused the fire. Please, 3 cautions, pay attention. If you get a house fire, you're outside. It's not a good time to be tenting it outside, guys. Really. I got to go ahead and change. I'm sure you got your t-shirts on sitting around listening to me too, right? Please, take care. I don't live up there for a reason. Frostbit my feet. Frostbit my fingers. Don't particularly like it. And thanks for sending me some, but next time, forget about it. I don't want it. Bye.